Be here with Greg Poole with Bulldog Illustrated, and spring has finally arrived, particularly for the football team. Yesterday, Kirby met with the media, and what I like is that he led with talking about the momentum, not just of his program, but all of the University of Georgia programs. And to me, that just says a lot about Kirby getting it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. He does get it, and his enthusiasm for the university is genuine, and he doesn't mind putting it out there.
Yeah, and then like he said, I mean, let's be honest, he's had a lot to do with that momentum.
Of course.
But then he's also, touching on the golf team just winning. So I mean, there again, Kirby's prepared. And then, and that's just a small example of him, in my opinion, being prepared. And his main watchword of the teams, Greg, was or their motto for the year is, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about those watchword things, those catchphrases that they do every year. But it's great, and it's true. I mean. And they are certainly following through with it at practice. I mean, everybody's gotten the message, down to the players. And
now, yesterday you were at the first practice.
Yes.
Was there any change to and granted, let's remind our watchers out there that the media gets very little time, but did you notice anything specifically kind of different?
Well, there's a different staff. So
right.
That's a definite change, and it seems that one practice is hard to tell, but it seemed maybe a little more energetic. Coaches are always loud,
Right.
and always yelling, but it did seem to have it was up tempo,
right,
that way. So I think that's what they're getting at,
And I think one thing he pointed out in the presser yesterday was basically they want more havoc.
Yeah.
And I think me reading between the lines, he had an interview with Tony Barnhart last week, and his main thing about the Alabama question that Tony of course asked him was, what was the difference? And it was like, we didn't do the knockout punch. And wouldn't you think that that's what that havoc is all about?
Yeah, disruption. Yeah, they want to disrupt the other team, and whether it's Georgia's offense disrupting the defense, and you always, so when you think of disruption and havoc, you're thinking of the defense disrupting the other team's offense. But I think he means it both ways. I think he's, that's going to be a theme that they go for, the big play on offense and the corresponding big play on defense. They're looking for that.
And then another thing I took out of yesterday was he talked about, somebody asked him about what the offense under Cooley was going to be different. And, the old Georgia in me loves saying, hey, we've had success running the ball. We're going to be a running team. But I did like the way he explained balance. Because We've seen in past where some people think balance is you run 50% of the time, you pass it 50% of the time, and that's balance. And Kirby, I think, once again did it brilliantly, saying you've got to be able to run the ball when you need to run the ball, and you got to be able to pass the ball when you need to pass the ball. And what the 70-30, whatever it shakes out at the end of the game doesn't really matter. And for those of us over the last 20 years, I think that was always, when we needed that tough yard running it, we couldn't get it. So that was refreshing, I thought.
Yeah, he seemed to imply that balance to him was over a season, that they wanted to be closer to the 50-50 over a season, but if they're playing Team X and they need to pass it 80%, no problem.
And then I'll even say, I think he's even talking about that every game and every situation is different. I mean, they stack the line and you got to be able to throw it. And that would be the last thing I would end with, is I asked Andrew Thomas, I guess he's a preseason All-American almost now.
Yeah.
And I asked him what it was like having the experience of Jake Fromm, and he said not only having Jake, but the experience of the O-line, he described it as what he thought was going to be a dynamic year on offense.
I completely agree. That offensive line is maybe the most talented I've ever seen at Georgia. I can't think of one that had better players that deep. So if they are as good as they should be, Georgia ought to beat the crap out of some people.
It's good, yeah. Lots of fun stuff. Just a reminder: the Georgia team practices tomorrow. Greg and some of our interns will be out there, so look for coverage there and look for a few more videos like this where Greg shows all his awesome knowledge. Go Dogs!